day everyone, my name is Alvin Kenenjel Serrano, student 34, reporting about Dpwh Bluebook, item 605 to 609. Item 605, road sign. 605.1, description. This item shall consist of furnishing and installing road signs in accordance with this specification and to the details shown on the plans or as required by the engineer. The road signs shall comply in all respects with the Philippine International Road Signs Manual published by the Department of Public Works and Highways, Manila. The categories of road signs are designated in the manual, namely danger warning signs, regulatory signs, and informative signs or guide signs. These are referred to the contract as warning signs and informatory signs respectively. Road signs shall be classified as standard or non-standard. Standard signs consist of all warning signs, regulatory signs, and informatory signs, with the exceptions of the direction signs, place identification signs, and the line. Non-standard signs consist of all informatory signs which are not classified as standard signs. The size of warning and regulatory signs is the length of the side of triangular signs, measured from the points of intersection or extension of the edges, the horizontal width of octagonal signs, and the diameter of circular signs. 605.2, materials requirement. 605.2.1, sign panels. Sign panels for warning, regulatory, and informatory signs shall be manufactured from aluminum sheeting at least 3 mm thick. 605.2.2, reflective sheeting. This reflective sheeting used in the road sign shall consist of a spherical lens element embedded within a transparent plastic having a smooth, flat surface with a reflective pre-coat adhesive which shall be pressure sensitive for manual application or track preheat activated for mechanical vacuum heat application. The minimum reflective brightness values of the reflective sheeting as compared to a magnesium oxide shall be as given in the table 605.1. The brightness of the reflective sheeting totally wet by rain shall be not less than 90% of the given values. So this is the table 605.1, reflective brightness of traffic signs or phase. The reflective sheeting shall be sufficiently flexible to permit application and adhesion to a moderately embossed surface. It shall show no damage when bent 90 degrees over a 50 mm diameter mandrel. The sheeting shall be solvent resistant so as to be capable of withstanding cleaning with petrol, diesel fuel, mineral spirits, turpentine, methanol. The sheeting shall show no cracking or reduction in flexibility or reflectivity after being subjected to the dropping of a 25 mm diameter steel ball from a height of 2 meters into its surface. The adhesive shall permit the reflective sheeting to adhere accurately 48 hours after application of temperatures up to 90 degrees. The reflective materials shall be weather resistant and following cleaning in accordance with manufacturer's recommendations shall show no discoloration, cracking, blistering, peeling, or any dimensional changes. Sample of reflective sheeting shall be submitted to the engineer for approval. 605.2.3, post and frames. Wide flange post and frames shall be fabricated from structural steel conforming to ASTM A283 grade D. In lieu of wide flange steel post, the contractor may use tubular steel post conforming to ASTM A501. All posts shall be thoroughly cleaned, free from grease, scale, and rust, and shall be given 1 coat of rust-inhibiting priming paint and 2 coats of gray paint in accordance with item 411 paint. 605.2.4, nuts and bolts. Nuts and bolts, washers, and other metal parts shall be hot dip galvanized over fabrication in accordance with the requirement of AASHTO M111. 605.2.5, concrete foundation blocks. The concrete for the foundation block shall be Class A in accordance with Item 405, structural concrete, and shall be of the size shown in the plans. 605.3 Construction requirements. 605.3.1 Excavation and backfilling. Holes shall be excavated to the required depth to the bottom of the concrete foundation as shown on the plans. Backfilling shall be carried out by using suitable material approved by the engineer and shall be compacted in layers not exceeding 150 mm in depth. Surplus excavating material shall be disposed of the contractor as directed by the engineer. 605.3.2 Erection of post. The post shall be erected vertically in position inside the formwork of the foundation block prior to the placing of the concrete and shall be adequately reported by bracing to prevent movement of the post during the placing and setting of concrete. The post shall be located at the position shown in the plans. 605.3.3 Sign panels installation. Sign panels shall be installed in accordance with the details shown on the plans. Any chipping or bending of the sign panels shall be considered as sufficient cause of required replacement of the panels of the contractor's expense. The exposed portion of the fastening hardware and the faces of the sign shall be painted with enamels matching the background color. All newly erected traffic road sign shall covered until ordered removed by engineer. 605.4 Method of measurement. The quantity of standard reflective warning and regulatory sign shall be number of such signs of the size specified, including the necessary posts and supports erected and accepted. The quantities for standard reflective informatory signs and non-standard reflective informatory signs shall be the number of such, including the necessary posts and supports erected and accepted. 605.5 Basis of payment. The quantities measured as determined in subsection 605.4 method of measurement shall be paid for at the contract unit price for the pay item shown in the bid schedule, which price and payment shall be full compensation for furnishing and installing road signs, for excavation, backfilling, and construction of foundation blocks, and all labors, equipment, tool, and incidentals necessary to complete the item. Payment will be made under, this is the table, pay item number 605, 1. Warning signs, the unit of measurement each. 605, 2. Regulatory signs. 605, 3. Informatory signs. 606.1 Description. This item shall consist of placing markings on the finished pavement. The work shall include the furnishing of pre-mixed reflectorized traffic paint or reflectorized pavement marking paint conforming to the requirements of AASHTO-M248, whichever is called for in the contract, sampling the packing, preparing the surface, and applying the paint to the pavement surface, all in accordance with the specification. The paint shall be applied to the size, shape, and location of the marking shown on the plans, or as required by the engineer. 606.2 Premixed reflectorized traffic paint. Premixed reflectorized traffic paints is a paint in which the glass blends are mixed in the paint during the process of manufacture, so that upon application or drying, the paint line is capable of retroreflection of the light beams. Premixed reflectorized traffic paints, which are available in both white, yellow, are paints that provide reflective markings for concrete, bituminous, bricks, or stone surface of highway, bridges, tunnels, streets, parking lots, and in airports. 606.2.1 Classification. Premixed reflectorized traffic paint shall be classified according to the following types based on the vehicle used. Type 1, alkyd. Type 2, chlorinated rubber alkyd. 606.2.2 Materials Requirement. The paint shall consist of pigments, vehicle, and glass beads combined as to produce a paint that will conform to the following requirements. A. Condition in container. The package material shall be free from lumps and mix readily to a smooth homogeneous state. Skinning. The package material shall not skin within 48 hours in a 3/4 filled, tightly closed container. Appearance of dried film. The paint film shall dry to a smooth, uniform finish. D. Flexibility. The dried paint film shall not show cracking or flake after being bent about 180 degrees over a 12.7 mm mandrel. E. Resistant to water. The dried paint film shall not show stirring, peeling, wrinkling, and discoloration when immersed in water for 18 hours. The paint shall also conform to the physical properties specified in Table 1. Table 1, physical properties. So the properties is specific gravity, drying time, no pickup, minutes, consistency, curve units at 20 degrees Celsius. Type 1 and Type 2, minimum in specific gravity and consistency, maximum in minutes and also in consistency. G. Premixed reflectorized traffic paints composed shall conform to the requirements given in the Table 2. Table 2 composition requirements. Paint composition: total dry solids % by weight, titanium dioxide total % by weight, medium chrome yellow % by weight, extended % by weight white yellow, non-volatile content based on the vehicle % by weight, glass beads % by weight. So the minimum in total dry solid % by weight is 60, in titanium dioxide is 16, in medium chrome yellow is 12, and in non-volatile content is 40. Glass beads is 31. Maximum in extended % by weight is 13 and 17. Glass beads is 35. Type 2, in minimum total dry solids is 60, titanium dioxide is 16, medium chrome yellow is 12, non-volatile is 41, glass beads is 31. Maximum extenders is 13 and 17, and also glass beads is 35. H. Glass spheres or beads requirements. Quantity: the amount of glass beads to be mixed with the paint shall be 500 grams per liter of paint. Beads diameter: the percentage of beads that will pass through the US. Standard sieve shall be as follows. Sieve numbers 70, 80, 140, and 230. Mass % passing is equals to 100, 55 to 100, 15 to 55, 0 to 10. Index of refraction: the index of refraction of the bead shall be within the range of 1.5 to 1.6. Tested by the liquid immersion method at 29 degrees Celsius. Appearance: the glass beads shall be transparent, colorless, and the sum of the particles are fused, plain, angular, and colored, and contains bubbles shall not exceed 20%. 606.2.3 Construction requirements. The painting of lane markers and traffic strips shall include the cleaning of the pavement surface and application, protection, and drying of the paint coatings, the protection of pedestrian, vehicular, or other traffic, the protection of all parts of the road structure and its appurtenance against disfigurements by spatters, splashes, or smirches of paint or of paint materials, and the supplying of all tools, labor, and traffic paint necessary for the entire work. The paint shall not be applied during the rain or wet weather, or when the air is misty, or when in the opinion of the engineer conditions are unfavorable for the work. Paint shall not be applied upon damp pavement surface or upon pavement which has absorbed heat sufficient to cause the paint to blister and produce a porous film of paint. The application of paint shall preferably be carried out by a machine specially made of the purpose, but where brushes are used, only a round or oval brushes not exceeding 100 mm in width will be permitted. The paint shall be so applied as to produce a uniform, even coating in close contact with the surface being painted. Traffic paint shall be applied to the pavement at the rate of 0.33 liter per meter squared and shall dry sufficiently to the free cracking in from 15 to 30 minutes. All marking shall present a clean cut, uniform, and workmanlike appearance. Marking shall fail to have a uniform, satisfactory appearance either by day or night shall be corrected by the contractor in a manner acceptable to the engineer and at no cost to the government. 606.2.4 Sampling. The paint shall be sampled in accordance with PNS 484, ISO 1512 or other Philippine standard method of sampling paints and varnishes. 606.2.5 Test methods. The paint shall be tested in accordance with the method specified in PNS 461 or other Philippine standard method of test for paints and varnishes. 606.2.6 Packing, packaging, and marking. The paint shall be packed, packaged, and marked in accordance with PNS 140. 606.3 Method of measurement. The quality of pavement marking to be paid for shall either reassurance plan, symbol lettering, hatching, and the like completed and accepted. Separate items shall be provided from premixed reflectorized traffic and paint and reflectorized thermoplastic pavement markings. 606.4 Basic of payment. The quantities measured as determined in section 606.4 method of measurement shall be paid for the appropriate contract unit price for the pay item shown in the bid schedule, which price shall consist of full compensation of furnishing and placing all materials, sampling and packing for the preparation of the surface and for all labor, equipment, tools, and incidentals necessary to complete the item. Payment will be made under 606, 606, 1 and 2. Pavement marking, premix reflectorized, unit measurement, square meter per square meter. Item 607, reflective pavement studs. 607.1, description. This item shall consist of furnishing and installing reflective pavement studs on the surface of the pavement in accordance with the specification and the location shown on the plans or as required by the engineer. 607.2, materials requirements. 607.2.1, reflective studs. Reflective studs shall be either the flush surface or raised profile type having following characteristics. The flush surface reflector shall be short base type having a maximum base area of 180 mm by 140 mm. The base shall be formed in cast iron with adequate webbing to ensure a firm key to a road when installed. The pad shall be highly resilient and durable rubber, reinforced with canvas, and shall have a design life of at least 5 years. The pad shall be designed as to produce a self-wiping action of the reflectors when depressed. A reflector shall be made of impact and abrasion-resistant glass and shall be hermetically sealed into a copper socket. The raised profile reflector shall consist of an acrylic plastic shell filled with an adhesive epoxy compound molded for methyl metacyclate into the shape of a shallow frustum of a pyramid with base dimension approximately 100 mm by 100 mm, thickness of not more than 20 mm. The shell shall contain two prismatic reflectors, each inclined at the angle of 30 degree to the horizontal and having an area not less than 20 cm squared. The reflector shall attain and following standard of their photometric and physical properties. A. The reflector shall have minimum specific intensity values expressed as candle power per foot candle of illumination at the reflector on a plane perpendicular to the incident light shown in table 607.1. Each reflector for testing shall be located with the center of the reflecting face at the diameter of 1.5 meters from a uniformly bright light source having an effective diameter of 5 mm with the weight of the photocell shall be 1.2 mm and shall be shielded from stray light. The distance from the centers of the light source and photocell shall be 5 mm. Failure of more than 4% of the reflective faces shall be caused for rejection of the complete batch. The reflector shall support a vertical load or kilogram-foot 10 kN when tested in the following manner. A reflector shall be centered horizontally over the open end of the vertical position hollow metal cylinders 75 mm internal diameter, 25 mm high and wall thickness of 6 mm. The load shall be applied to the top the reflector through a 6 mm diameter by a 6 mm high metal plug centered on top of the reflector. Failure shall constitute either breakage or significant deformation of the marker at the load less than 1000 kgf. Table 607.1 Raised profile pavement studs photometric properties. So this is the table 607.1. 607.2.2 adhesive which raised profile type reflector are specified and approval to part epoxy adhesive shall be used. 607.2.3 Cement mortar. Cement mortar shall consist of 1 part of Portland cement to 2 parts fine aggregate with water added as necessary to obtain the required consistency. 607.3 Construction requirements. 607.3.1 Flush surface type. The stud shall be installed into the pavement in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions but shall also comply with the following requirements. Cavities in the pavement shall be clearly cut to the dimension of the pavement studs and shall allow a clearance of 10 mm around the stud base. The longitudinal centerline axis of the cavity shall be the same as the required for the pavement stud when laid to the correct line of direction. The wall of the cavity shall be splayed back at the angle of approximately 30 degrees to the vertical to facilitate a dovetail joint after the mortar has set. The bottom of cavity shall be leveled with asphalt concrete prior to placing the stud base which shall pounded into position with a pounder foot attached to a pneumatic drill. The depth of the activity shall be such that when the stud base and reflectors having been installed, the elevation of the floor of the lens socket shall not be greater than 2.0 mm or less than 1.0 mm above the pavement surface. When the studs are installed into a cement concrete pavement, the stud shall be grouted into position with asphalt concrete containing fine aggregate only or with a cement mortar as described in subsection 607.2.3 above. 607.3.2 Raised profile type. The pavement stud shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. 607.4 Method of measurements. The quantity of reflectorized pavement studs to be paid for shall be numbered of reflectorized pavement studs of either the flush surface type or the raised profile type, whichever is called for in the contract installed, complete, and accepted. 607.5 Basis of payment. The quantities measured as described in subsection 607.4 method of measurement shall be paid at the contract unit price of the pay Item shown in the bid schedule, which payment shall consist full compensation for furnishing and placing all materials, cavities, preparation of surfaces, applying adhesive and mortar, and for all labor, equipments, tools, and incidentally necessary to complete the item. Payment will be made under 6071, 6072. Reflectorized pavement stand flush or pavement stand raised profile type. Each Item 608, the topsoil. 608.1 description. This item shall consist of topsoil furnished, transported and spread, or topsoil removed from designated area, hauled and spread in accordance with the specification at the location shown in the plans or as required by the engineer. 608.2 materials requirement. Topsoil furnished shall consist of fertile, friable soil of loamy character without admixtures of undesirable subsoil, refuse, or foreign materials. It shall be obtained from well-drained, arable land and shall be reasonable free from roots. Hard clay, coarse gravel, stone larger than 50 mm in size, coarse sand, noxious seed, stick, brush, litter, and other deleterious substances. Topsoil shall be capable of sustaining healthy plant life and shall be subjected to the approval of the engineer. Topsoil shall contain not less than 5% organic matter as determined by loss or ignition of samples oven dried to constant weight. 608.3 construction requirements. 608.3.1 source of material. Topsoil shall be obtained as specified in item 102 excavation or from other approved sources. The contractor shall not notify the engineer at least 5 days before he intends to start topsoil stripping operations. After inspection and approval by the engineer and prior to stripping any topsoil, the contractor shall remove noxious weeds and tall grass roots, and stone larger than 50 mm in diameter. 608.3.2 placing. The topsoil shall be evenly spread on the areas and to the line and level shown on the plans and compacted with a light roller to a depth of not less than 100 mm. Spreading shall not be done when the ground topsoil is excessively wet or otherwise in a condition detrimental to such work. The roadway surface shall be kept clean during hauling and spreading operation. After spreading has been completed, large clods, stone, roots, stumps, and other loose-lying material shall be cracked up and removed. Any erosion irregularities of grade or other incidental damage to the surface of the topsoil shall be repaired and or restored to the engineer's satisfaction. 608.4 method of measurements. The quantities to the paid for shall be the numbers of cubic meters of topsoil removed, furnished and hauled, completed in place and accepted. 605.5 basis of payment. The quantities as determined in subsection 608.4 method of measurement shall be paid for the contract unit price respectively for each of the particular pay item listed below that is shown in the bid schedule, which price and payment shall be full compensation for furnishing and placing all materials and for labor, equipment, tool, and incidental necessary to complete the item. Payment will be made under 608.1, 608.2 furnishing and placing topsoil and placing of topsoil per cubic meter. Item 609, the sprigging. 609.1 description. This item shall consist of planting sprigs of plant grass plant in accordance with the specification and location shown in the plans or as required by the engineer. 609.2 materials required. 609.2.1 sprigs. Sprigs shall be healthy living stems, stolons or rhizomes with attached roots or perennial turf forming grass of kind shown on the plans. harvested with adhering soil and obtained from approved source in the locality of the work where the sod is heavy and thick matted. The presence of objectionable grass, weeds, or other detrimental material will be a cause of rejection. 609.2.2 Fertilizers. Fertilizers shall be standard commercial fertilizers supplied separately or in mixture containing the percentage of total nitrogen, available phosphoric acid, and water-soluble potash. These shall be furnished in standard containers with name, weight, and guaranteed analysis of contents clearly marked. The fertilizers may be supplied in the following form: a dry, free-flowing fertilizer soluble in water, suitable for application by common fertilizer spreader; a finely ground fertilizer soluble in water, suitable for application by power sprayed; a granular or pellet form suitable for application by blower equipment. 609.2.3 Ground limestone. Ground limestone shall contain not less than 85% of calcium and magnesium carbonates and shall be of such fineness that 100% shall pass through a 2.00 mm sieve and not less than 35% through a 0.150 mm sieve. Granulated slag may be substituted in lieu of ground limestone, subjected to the approval of the engineer of an adjusted application rate that will provide the equivalent total neutralizing power of the specified limestone. 609.2.4 Topsoil. Topsoil shall perform to the requirements of item 608 topsoil. 609.2.5 Mulch material. Mulch material shall be hay, straw, or other local non-toxic material. 609.3 Construction requirements. 609.3.1 Harvesting sprigs. The contractor shall not notify the engineer at least 5 days before sprigs are not be harvested, and source shall be approved by the engineer before harvesting begin. To begin harvesting, grass and wood shall be mowed to a height of 60 to 75 mm and all clipping removed. Sprig shall then be loosened by cross-disking, shallow plowing, or other acceptable methods. After loosening the sprig from the soil, they shall be gathered in small piles or withdraws, watered, and kept moist until planted. Not more than 24 hours shall elapse between harvesting and planting sprig, except that when the weather or other uncontrollable condition interrupts the work, a time extension may be granted, provided the sprig are still moist and viable. Sprigs that have heated in stockpiles permitted to dry out or otherwise seriously damaged during harvesting or delivery shall be rejected and be disposed of as directed. 609.3.2 Advanced preparation and cleanup. After grading of areas has been completed and before applying fertilizer and ground limestone, areas to be sprigged shall be racked or otherwise cleared of stone larger than 50 mm in diameter, sticks, stumps, and other debris which might interfere with sprigging, growth of grass, or subsequent maintenance of grass-covered area. If any damage by erosion or other cause has occurred after grading of areas and before beginning the application of fertilizer shall grout limestone, the contractor shall repair such damage. This may include filling gullies, smoothing irregularities, and repairing other incidental damage. 609.3.3 Topsoiling. If topsoiling is shown on the plans, it has been done in accordance with the requirement of item 608 topsoil. 609.3.4 Applying fertilizer and ground limestone. Following advanced preparation and cleanup, fertilizer shall be uniformly sprayed at the rate indicated on the plans. If used the ground limestone is required, it shall be sprayed at the rate shown on the plans. This material shall be incorporated into the soil to a depth not less than 50 mm by disking, raking, or other methods acceptable to the engineer. Stones larger than 50 mm in diameter, large clods, roots, and other litter brought to the surface by this operation shall be removed. On steep slopes where fertilizer and ground limestones cannot be incorporated effectively by mechanical equipment, they may be applied with power sprayers, blower equipment, or other approved method of need not be incorporated into the soil. 609.3.5 Planting sprigs. Sprigging shall not be done during windy weather or when the ground is dry, excessively wet, or otherwise untillable. Sprigs shall be planted in existing ground or in formed embankments or on topsoil as shown in the plans. If the soil is not moist when the sprigs are being set, water shall be applied in until soil is moist and in workable condition. One or more of the following methods shall be used, whichever is directed by the engineer. Broadcast spreading. Sprig shall be broadcast by hand or by suitable equipment in a uniform layer over the prepared surface with spacing between sprigs not to exceed 150 mm. The sprig shall then be forced into a soil to a depth of 50 mm to 100 mm, which a straight spade or similar tool, or with a disc, harrow, or other equipment set to cover the sprigs to the required depth. Row sprigging. Furrow shall be opened along the approximate contour of slopes at the spacing and depth indicated on the plans. Sprig shall be placed without delay in condition, row in the open furrow, and successive sprigs touching and shall be covered immediately. Spot sprigging. Spot sprigging shall be performed as specified under row sprigging, except that instead of planting in continuous rows, group of 4 sprigs or more shall be spaced for 50 mm apart in the row. 609.3.6 Mulching and compacting. After planting or sprig has been completed and prior to compacting, the surface shall be cleared of stone larger than 50 mm diameter, large clods, roots, and other litter brought to the surface during sprigging. If mulching of sprigging areas is shown on the plans, the sprigged area shall be covered with mulch in accordance with the requirements of subsection 609.2.5 mulch material within 24 hours from the time sprigging has been completed, weather and soil conditions permitting. If mulching is not shown on the plans, the sprigging area shall be compacted within 24 hours from the time sprigging has been completed, weather and soil condition permitting, by cultipackers, rollers, or other satisfactory equipment operated at right angles to the slope. Compaction shall not be done when the soil is such in condition that it is picked up by equipment, nor shall clay soil be compacted if so directed by the engineer. 609.3.7 Maintenance of sprig area. The contractor shall protect sprig area against traffic by warning signs or barricades approved by the engineer. Surface gullied or otherwise damaged follow sprigging shall be repaired by regarding and sprigging as directed. The contractor shall now water as directed and otherwise maintain sprigging areas in satisfactory condition until final inspection and acceptance of the work. 609.4 Method of measurements. The quantity of sprigging to be paid shall be the number of units of 100 square meter measured on the ground surface completed and accepted. 609.5 Basis of payment. The quantity determined as provided in subsection 609.4 method of measurement shall be paid of the pay item listed below, which price and payment shall be full compensation for furnishing and placing at the materials, for any required mulching and sprigging areas, and for all labor, equipment, tools, and other incidental necessary to complete the work prescribed in the section except topsoiling, which shall be paid for as provided in item 608 topsoil. Pay item will be made under 609 sprigging per 100 square meter.